A special squadron, not of this plane, but of those who work in the shadows with energies from the beyond, received a signal, an anonymous tip that came not from a human, but from an entity that no longer walks among us. Following that warning, they raided a clandestine site where the air smelled of sulfur and freshly turned earth. What they found was gruesome. A profaned altar with stained photographs, locks of human hair, yellowed bones, and among it all, your name written in thick, dark ink, like cemetery mud. One of those objects, yes, one had your genetic trace. Your DNA was an offering in that twisted coven dot, and now, there is no turning back. A sealed order was activated in the invisible planes, signed with astral ink in the secret books of divine judgment. Today, the sentence has begun to be executed. You went on with your life. You smiled. You worked. No one knew about those nights when you cried in silence, when your soul was dissolving within. You were emotionally buried by those who promised to care for you. They stabbed you in the back and then washed their hands of it as if nothing happened. They spoke of you as if you were trash. They toasted your downfall, mocked your pain, and, in their darkest hour, they celebrated it. But what those beings forgot is that you were never alone. Saint Michael, the celestial warrior with his flaming sword, drew protective circles around your essence. While you slept, your guardian angels fought an invisible battle for you. For your soul, for what belongs to you by sacred right, for what was decreed for you since before your birth. And listen closely, because this is not a metaphor. The people who harmed you are about to pay, not only for what they threw at you but for all the rituals, burials, and curses they have invoked for years. They have used your energy as a channel to open dark paths. They have buried your name in the dirt. They have signed pacts with low-level entities to appropriate your destiny. But the universe has already marked them with an invisible seal, one that means imminent downfall. The evidence oozes like pus from a wound. A phone someone forgot, an audio that shouldn't have existed, a false signature that now leaks out to the subtle systems of karma. Everything they set up to tear you down is turning against them like a poorly invoked binding spell. And now they writhe. They know that everything they sowed in the shadows they will harvest. But with handcuffs, chains, and spiritual ruin. Gabriel is speaking to you now, whispering in your etheric ear. Decree it. Declare in the comments that the divine judgment has begun. Write with fire, with celestial authority. Activate the channel of hidden knowledge just by leaving your mark. If this resonates with you, if you feel it vibrate in your chest, give it a like so the angels know you are in sync and strengthen the invisible shield that spins around you. And get ready, because what comes next is devastating. One of those who is about to fall not only betrayed you, but used your name in a forbidden ritual. Since then, their mind has been fragmented. They have visions. Their child has started seeing things, hearing voices in the early morning, repeating words they don't understand. You haven't done anything because you don't need to. The punishment is already being executed. At first, you didn't believe it. Something inside you told you it couldn't be. But the angels were already showing it to you in dreams, in suspicious silences, in shifty glances. There is no longer any doubt. The person who will fall is of your own blood, not just any enemy. Someone who knew your secrets, who shared your table, who hugged you while there was envy inside. This figure, trapped in ancestral resentment, became obsessed with your radiance. They tried to force open the third eye without permission, without cleansing, without guidance. They forced portals they should never have touched. They delved into forbidden texts, mixed sacred symbols with emotional mud, and what they found was not wisdom, it was darkness. The ritual spun out of control. The portal opened, yes, but toward the abyss. From that day on, they began to lose themselves, seeing shadows in mirrors, hearing voices that weren't theirs, forgetting time. They tried to backtrack, to close the cycle, but it was too late. The third eye became a bleeding wound, and every lie they threw against you made more invisible blood flow. And that wasn't the worst, because in their desperation, they sought out the cemetery sorcerer. They took an item of yours, buried it in damp earth among worms with your name invoked in blood. They performed a massive destruction ritual to close your doors, to block your paths. They thought no one would see them, but the universe sees, and the universe collects. And yes, the spiritual squadron intervened again. The same raid, the same altar, the same evidence. Hair, bones, photos of you marked with death symbols. One of the objects again had your DNA, but this time, spiritual justice is also manifesting on Earth. It's not just witchcraft. It's aggravated cosmic crime, and it's leading straight to prison. The most disturbing thing is how that person reacted when interrogated. They started speaking incoherently, laughing and crying at the same time, speaking unknown tongues. The officers said they looked possessed, and they were. Because when one touches what doesn't belong to them, they become a host to forces that do not forgive. You know it. Your angels are already executing the sentence. Saint Michael has spoken, and if you are listening to this, it is no coincidence. It is because the portal of awakening is open for you. Declare it now in the comments. Write like someone casting a sacred spell. Activate the channel of divine justice with your word. And if you feel the fire in your chest, subscribe with a like. Don't do it for me. Do it for you, because in this way, the shield that Saint Gabriel is spinning over your energy will be stronger than ever. And if you are listening to this, stay tuned, because what is coming next is not what you expected, and it will shake the roots of your soul. Before being arrested, that person, yes, the same one managed to deliver a cursed object, a channel of dark energy, to someone very close to you. That object is circulating somewhere, contaminating, still charged with the curse that has not been deactivated. And the most chilling thing is that you might have touched it without knowing. But calm down, because in the next few minutes I will reveal what it is, how to identify it, and what you must do if you have already held it in your hands. Because what was released is still trying to find you. Although, if you do the right thing, if you activate what is written in your code of light, the universe will mercilessly pulverize it. You didn't sign any document. You didn't give your consent. You weren't in that dirty game. And yet, your name appeared printed in a fraudulent file, stained with lies, with scams that were woven in the shadows. They used your identity as a shield. They threw you as bait to the wolves of the underworld. They tried to cover their own crimes by covering them with your energy. But what they didn't know is that your name is tattooed in celestial fire. Your aura is sealed by a legion of light led by Saint Michael himself, who holds his sword over you day and night. When they presented those contaminated documents, the system collapsed. A computer shut down by itself. The cameras started to fail. One of the witnesses felt an invisible pressure crushing their chest. It wasn't a technical failure, it was a spiritual warning. It wasn't just fraud. It was an attempt at energetic sacrifice. One of the involved, desperate to avoid their downfall, offered your name as a sacrifice in a clandestine temple, where pacts are signed with entities of the lower astral. There, on an altar built with animal bones and desecrated earth, they wrote your name with ritual charcoal. They pronounced it through clenched teeth with hate, like someone casting an invisible poison. But it didn't work, because what you have cannot be bought or corrupted. Your guardian angels descended. The sorcerer went into a trance, started shouting words he didn't even understand. The attendees fled in terror of being dragged along too. One of them broke down. He talked. And now there is an open file. Authorities found your name linked to a multi-million-dollar fraud, but they also found evidence that everything was rigged, set up as a trap. You are safe. Yes, but those who wove that dark web already have a court summons. And listen closely to this. One of them is about to reveal the name of the true orchestrator, the one who pulled the strings from the shadows, the one who wove every lie with sickly obsession. Saint Gabriel, the messenger of the hidden plan, asks you now that if this revelation resonates within you, to decree it in the comments. Write with authority. My name is untouchable. My truth is invincible. Because when you release that word, the channel opens and the truth roars like an unstoppable river. And if you feel this message arrived at the perfect time, leave a like right now. Not as a formality, but because that way you reinforce your vibrational field, and the legion of angels will spin stronger than ever around you. But listen, this isn't over yet. The most grotesque hasn't been said. Within this whole tangle of deception, there is someone you considered loyal. Someone who looked you in the eyes, promised you loyalty, hugged you, and while doing so, gave away your data, your story, your number. They did it for something no one imagined. A power binding spell. Yes, they entered into an energetic condemnation pact just to have you bound to suffering. But what they tied with that binding spell is not only dragging them down now, it's collecting high interest. They've gone days without sleep. They can't speak clearly. They avoid looking at themselves in mirrors, because their reflection shows them disturbing visions. The pact they signed is devouring them from within. They thought everything was under control, that the mocking laughter would stay among them, that their poisonous words would never leave the coven they formed. In that hidden circle, they shared your photos, invented lies, turned you into a subject of ridicule disguised as a spiritual joke. They laughed. Yes, they mentioned your name with sarcasm, wrote it on paper, and burned it as if they could extinguish your light. But they were deluded. They didn't know what they were touching. Because when they mock a soul protected by the sword of Saint Michael, the echo of that blasphemy doesn't stay on earth. It bounces off the higher planes, it is heard in heaven. And it is inscribed in the eternal records. They didn't know that you have a direct line to the sacred, to your invisible guardians who circle over you like sentinels. While they were mocking, you were receiving signals, white feathers, flashing lights, dreams with codes that already announced what was coming, and the universe, which never acts without evidence, left traces. One of those present in that coven disguised as a joke couldn't take it anymore. They had nightmares. They dreamed of your face surrounded by fire. They heard voices telling them they had crossed a line. Their soul was broken. And it was them. Yes, the same person, who leaked everything. Screenshots, audios, videos. There is proof of every mockery, of every twisted invocation cast against you. And here comes the juiciest part. One of the involved holds a public office, and what they found on their phone could cost them not only their position, but their freedom. Because what they kept there wasn't just words. It was a complete map of an energetic conspiracy with the intention of direct harm. So now you decide. Will you remain silent? Or will you decree your victory with the word? Write in the comments. Subscribe your energy with a like if you feel this truth was for you. Because when you do, Saint Gabriel reinforces your connection, and the channel of sacred knowledge opens to show you what's next. And what's coming will change your history. They talked about binding spells, ritual burials, manipulating evidence like someone twisting reality with stained hands. And not only did they wish for you to lose everything, they wished for your physical downfall, your silence, your extinguishing. But they overlooked something crucial. Your guardian angels were recording everything from a higher plane. Yes, everything was recorded in the archives of celestial judgment, where no mistake goes unpunished. St. Gabriel now shows me a scroll wrapped in golden flames. On it appears a phrase sealed with astral light. A key you must write in the comments if you want this truth to be released like divine fire. That their mocks turn into chains and my truth be the key that silences them. If you feel it burning in your chest, if your soul vibrates with this revelation, leave a like, because by doing so, you open the channel where Saint Michael deposits his swords of fire to protect you and cut the invisible threads they wove to restrain you. This is not a metaphor. It is not an exaggeration. This has already crossed the threshold. It is happening. The sentences have already begun, and they will fall one by one, because mockery is not cleansed with apologies. He who scoffs at a soul in assent activates an outstanding debt, and in your case, the divine judgment is already being executed without contemplation. And just in case you thought you had heard it all, open your senses wide, because what is coming now tears the veil of reality. One of the members of that coven, yes, those who played with your name as if it were a dirty amulet, was found with a rigid tongue. They cannot speak, they cannot write, they cannot even whisper your name without their skin crawling and their spine chilling. And there's more. In their room, shadows, presences, dark shapes began to manifest, and among them, a figure dressed in white points at them without saying a word. That figure is not an invention. It is the spirit of someone they themselves handed over years ago. And you have a connection with that presence. Very soon, you will know who it is and why they have crossed the threshold of the beyond, to intervene in the execution of the spiritual punishment. Because we are no longer just talking about earthly consequences. This comes from another world. For years, she was by their side, clinging like an energetic parasite, pretending to be a partner, lover, ally. But what she really was an emotional leech, an entity disguised as a woman, hungry for power, climbing through the corners of their soul to reach what was never hers. Your ex's mistress, that infamous shadow who became their echo, their ruin, never loved them. What she desired was their access, their money, but above all their connection to you. Because even though they tried to erase you, bury you in their narrative, you were the true magnet, the source. Everything that brought her success was because you were there. And when you moved away, everything collapsed like an altar without faith. She knew it. She felt the tremor, and she began to obsess over you. She tracked your steps, your social media, your photos, consulted sorcerers, read cursed texts, tried to make pacts with minor entities, but nothing worked because you were protected by celestial fire. Your name was already surrounded by Saint Michael's angels, spiritual lions who roar at any attempt at invasion. And in her desperation, she betrayed them. Yes, the one who entered your life through the back door was the one who leaked the documents, the screenshots, the audios. Not out of remorse, not for justice, but out of greed. She wanted to take the last piece of power before everything collapsed. But what she didn't know is that by releasing that information, she broke a pact sealed with cemetery dirt. Because everything that had been planned against you was bound with black candles, inverted crosses, and ritual whispers. And by betraying that agreement, she activated a rebound curse. Now the entity they had invoked haunts her bed. She no longer sleeps, she has hallucinations. Her skin is covered with mysterious blemishes, and on her back, a black spiral appears. A mark that does not erase, a burn without cause. Saint Gabriel has been clear. To completely close your spiritual shield, you need to decree it now. What they did to me is reversed with divine justice. I am light guided by heaven. Write it in the comments. And if you feel it vibrating within you, subscribe your energy with a like, because that way the army of angels seals the wall of fire that already surrounds your destiny. And listen to this, because what comes next is beyond compare. That woman, the one who disguised herself as an ally, not only leaked the files, she also stole something of yours. An object you had given up for lost years ago. One that contained your deepest energy. She used it for a dark ritual, but she didn't know how to close it. She didn't know what she was doing. And now, that object has been found by authorities at a scene where there was blood. The finding was classified as evidence of a crime. And now we are no longer talking about spiritual betrayal. No. What has been opened is a criminal case with your name in the middle. Not as a suspect, but as a spiritual witness to a downfall that will not stop until everyone is unmasked. After mocking you, after playing with your name like someone playing with sacred fire, after using you, consuming your energy, enjoying your fruits, traveling, buying, manipulating, she believed there would never be consequences. But she forgot that you are sealed by heaven, that what is done against you is not erased. It accumulates and then explodes. She buried papers with your name and binding spells with your photos. She invoked names in a low voice while black candles flickered like tongues of hell. But all of that is being reversed. And what is coming now will finally close this dark cycle. She did it secretly in the dead of night, believing she could destroy you from the shadows without paying the price. But what that woman, fallen from the abyss, ignored was that she had just touched one of the 144,000 souls marked with divine fire. Yes, you are soul set apart for elevated purposes. You who have been sealed by heaven. You who carry an invisible shield woven by the very angels of the throne. Now the scene has changed. She is no longer the one observing from afar. Now she wears an anonymous uniform of that grey that corrodes dignity. And the walls where she sleeps are cold, damp, dark. The ceiling drips as if the tears of the universe are falling onto her condemnation. She was taken without warning, without mercy, a sudden arrest. The evidence was so brutal, so clear, that not even the best lawyer could clean it up. But the real blow was not her capture. It was what awaited her inside. Because upon entering the cell, there was a woman you helped when no one looked at her, when others spat at her. You gave her a word, a piece of bread, a moment of respite, and now she is the one sharing a cell with the traitor. The cycle closed with supernatural precision. Fate threw her directly into the arms of the silent witness of your compassion. And that witness has already begun to talk, has already begun to sing everything she knows, and no, she will not leave unscathed. The energy of confinement is devouring her. She sees shadows in the corners, hears voices that don't belong to her. Her body began to be covered with black blemishes. But the most disturbing thing is she stopped dreaming. Because when a soul loses contact with the spiritual, it begins to rot inside like a flower buried in a coffin sealed with a cursed .st. Gabriel has been direct. He who touches a protected soul will be marked by the flames of eternal judgment. And now you are seeing it. Therefore, if this truth hits you in the chest like a church bell from the beyond, leave this decree in the comments. My light is untouchable, my justice is underway, and my angels are already executing the punishment. Write it now and allow heaven to activate the connection that only awaits your word to seal the next move. And if your soul feels this message is not a coincidence, but a direct calling, leave a like, because by doing so, your energetic field is strengthened, and the divine shield that spins over you becomes unbreakable. But listen to me, because the twist that comes next is deeper than a bottomless abyss. The traitor, from the cell, has started writing to you. Not one, not two. 5 letters have been sent. all with your name. Not because she feels guilty, not because she wants to repair the damage, no. What is in those letters is poison disguised as a plea, pure manipulation. And the most chilling thing is, in one of them, she includes a photo of something that disappeared from your house years ago, something that shouldn't be in her hands. How did it get there? What hidden threat does that memory hold? Because what has been opened is not just a wound. It is a door that should never have been touched. And now you will decide. Will you close that door once and for all, or will you allow divine justice to unleash all its fury? The abandoned house was not a simple forgotten shell. No, that dusty structure held stale energy, putrid secrets, and the residue of unhallowed rituals. For some, it was the setting of fractured childhoods. For others, simply a point they avoided because the air inside was charged with the memory of poorly sealed spiritual burials. But you didn't know what had truly been done there. They used it as a clandestine altar, as a nest for forbidden invocations, with your photo, with your name, with binding spells buried in earth soaked with cemetery tears. They sought to break your spirit, and they failed, because all they managed to do was awaken the fury of the legion that guards your life. St. Michael's angels, sword in hand, ready to cut any dark tie that tries to reach you. The police arrived at that house due to a complaint that seemed unrelated to you. But what they found was a chilling blow to the soul. Symbols carved with blood, remnants of black candles, bones, personal objects, and the artifact that woman stole, the one that now shines as definitive proof of her conspiracy. Perhaps lately you've had strange dreams, fleeting visions of that house. Perhaps you've wanted to get away from enclosed spaces without explanation. It's not paranoia, it's spiritual warning. That vibration is telling you that the link is still trying to cling to you. If this resonates with you, it's time to cleanse your field with a sacred decree. A call to your angels. Saint Gabriel shows me a circle of white fire spinning like a whirlpool over your head. He asks you to write in the comments, I open my field of light, I cleanse my soul, and I allow my angels to protect me without rest. Write with faith, do it from the soul, because by doing so you activate the key to hidden knowledge, the channel that unites your word with the will of the universe. And if this message has shaken you, don't forget to leave a like, because every click, every gesture strengthens the invisible field that shelters you, and the legion that spins over you will continue to act as an impenetrable barrier of celestial fire. The events are accelerating, and the forces that only whispered before are now shouting. But listen to me carefully, because this is not over yet. There is something that is just beginning to come to light. That house, that profaned sanctuary of darkness, was not just the theater of rituals and spells, no. It was also the place where, years ago, something was intentionally buried. An object that should never be touched, a piece sealed with ancient fire and blood oaths. And today the police have unearthed it. But it wasn't by chance. It was a macabre time capsule, a receptacle sealed by trembling hands that knew what they were hiding. Inside that symbolic coffin lay the vestige of an ancestral curse, an object wrapped in silk fabrics, covered with earth from the cemetery, bound with deformed symbols written with the ink of pain. It wasn't just an amulet. It was a channel of witchcraft, a tool of spiritual warfare against you. It was used in that cursed coven where they cast spells with your image, fragments of your hair, ashes stolen from your history. But the fatal mistake was underestimating your sacred shield, the one that St. Michael's angels forged around you from the beginning of time. Because it was that legion that led the agents to the exact burial spot. They think it was intuition, but you know it was divine intervention. Today that object is under official custody, and unknowingly, you are at the center of this war between dimensions. Your name is in the documents, but not as the accused, not as the guilty. Your name shines as an emblem of justice, because what they intended to embed in your path was dissolved by the power of your angels. Therefore, right now, if this message touches your spirit, write with fire in the comments. My field is shielded by the legion of Saint Michael. No shadow can touch my light. Do it because, with that decree, open the channel of divine fire that connects your soul with the higher planes. And remember, every like you leave is not just support. It is a spark of energy that reinforces your spiritual shield. Every subscription is a lit torch that calls your angels to guard you day and night. Saint Gabriel warns you, your justice is closer than you imagine, and the universe is bending to place you in the position that belongs to you. But get ready, because the most brutal part is about to be revealed. In the midst of this energetic whirlwind, there is a figure who acted from the shadows, a hidden puppeteer who pulled the strings of chaos. While everyone else was falling, he thought he could take advantage of the other's collapse to strengthen himself. But he did not count on the unearthed reliquary dragging him down with it. That person is not foreign, not a stranger to your history. It is someone who shares your blood, someone who once looked you in the eyes and called you family, but inside desired your light. They wanted to dominate your destiny, force open the channel of your vision, manipulate your path as if the universe were their board. But the darkness he invoked turned against him, because the binding spells he wove in secret, the pacts he whispered under inverted crosses, everything has returned. The shadows he wanted to send to your life have become a spiral of destruction that is already consuming him. His hands tremble, and it's not from cold. It's from the weight of the spells he himself cast. He has crossed a spiritual threshold that has no return. And now the angels of Saint Michael march towards him with the fury of 1,000 celestial storms. Because what he did was not only betrayal, it was desecration. He tried to destroy you by burning papers, falsifying your history, erasing your name from the books of life. But he forgot that you are sealed with light, that your connection with the divine is stronger than any dark spell. And at this instant, the invisible world is turning. Energetic burials are taking place where dark knots are untied. The bonds of evil are pulverized into ashes that leave no trace. Gabriel whispers with a firm voice that it is time to declare victory. If you are ready, write in the comments. I declare the victory of light over shadows. My guardian angels protect me. My path is sealed by the eternal fire of Saint Michael. Write it with certainty, because that is how the superior channel that connects your soul with the pure source of divine knowledge is activated. And every light you leave is not just spiritual support. It is a step in this energetic ritual. It is a signal to the universe that you are awake, aligned, and protected. And every subscription is one more flame on the sacred altar of your destiny, summoning the celestial legion that guards you. Do it now, because your angels ask for it, because the judgment is already falling. And you just have to watch as the truth finishes sweeping away what should never have touched you. But what you are about to discover is not just any revelation. It is a cosmic shockwave, a truth sealed under centuries of silence that today decides to emerge with fury. Because while that fallen being, trapped in his own labyrinth of darkness, slowly consumes like a black candle before the divine judgment, someone else enters the scene. And it is not a new face. It is a figure that remained on the sidelines in the shadows, camouflaged in oblivion, but with a direct connection to your destiny. This presence, invisible until now, had the appearance of a simple witness, but in reality, it held the power to detonate the truth, break the chains of deceit, and seal with celestial fire everything they tried to hide under contaminated ground. The guides have not stopped whispering to me. Say it. Tell her now. Because you need to know who this new player is. What connection they have to your lineage, your blood, to the sleeping secrets that run through your veins. And since their appearance is not a coincidence, but a divine design to put an end to this energetic war once and for all, get ready, because what is about to manifest will shake even the most ancient angels. This being is not just any ally. They are a sacred custodian, a guardian sent from above to protect your soul from times you no longer remembered. Their power does not come from the earth. It comes from elevated dimensions where decrees are signed with fire, and where judgment does not retreat. It is someone linked to you by ancestral ties hidden in the dust of your deepest roots. Saint Michael and Saint Gabriel know their mission well because they have been prepared, molded in silence, awaiting the exact moment to descend and activate the justice that was sealed by ancient oaths. Their arrival marks the instant the axis of destiny spins with fury. Every curse thrown upon your name, every binding spell they tried to do with your photo, every symbolic burial they wove under black moons, begins to disintegrate before the sacred flame they carry as a cosmic torch dot from the heart of the universe. This guardian has invoked a legion of warrior angels armed with fiery swords and blessed shields that know no defeat. The wings of these warriors already surround you. Their flight generates gusts of truth that sweep away the lies. Their energy is dissipating the darkness they tried to tattoo onto your aura. And as their shadow of fire moves, every mocking laugh, every betrayal disguised as kindness turns into a dead echo, a whisper that vanishes with the sacred wind. Listen to this. Saint Michael and Saint Gabriel ask you to seal this moment with a decree of power. Write in the comments, "My ancestral protector opens the way and activates divine justice in my life." Do it with conviction, not out of routine, because by doing so you will be opening an energetic channel, so potent that it will vibrate every cell of your being with the highest frequency of protection. And if what you are feeling inside you is like a fire burning in your chest, give it a like. Because that small gesture, full of intention, strengthens the invisible armor that your angels have built around you. Subscribing is not just a click. It is part of the pact of light that strengthens the spiritual shield that separates you from evil. But don't relax yet, because when everything seemed to be defined, a new enigma appears. An energy that comes in the form of a night whisper, of dreams you cannot explain, of fleeting visions that shake your soul. It is a warning, a clue. A new player is being revealed, and it is not just any enemy. It is someone who disguised themselves as an ally, someone who shared your path, who walked by your side, but who was secretly manipulating dark forces, crossing sacred lines that should never have been touched. This imposter has been playing with forbidden's fire, invoking entities they can no longer control. And you will have to decide whether to close that door definitively, or allow spiritual justice to do what it has to do. Gabriel now shows me a torn veil, and behind that veil, the truth you are about to discover could change everything. But you need to be ready, because what is coming is not for weak hearts. It is for chosen souls. And if you know deep down in your being that you are one of those souls, then declare it now with power in the comments. I am chosen light. My angels already execute the judgment. Deceit will not have power over me. Decree it, activate it, and let the fire of Saint Michael consume every attempt at manipulation. Every like you offer is a signal to your angels that you are ready. Every subscription is a beacon that ignites the battle in your favor.